Welcome to Roadcast, a visual blog dedicated to highlighting and amplifying creative endeavors in design, art, and innovation. And today, we are squarely at the center of innovation. Hosted by Secretary Fudge, who leads the Department of Housing and Urban Development, and the National Association of Home Builders, we are on the National Mall in Washington, D.C. at the Innovative Housing Showcase. It's hard for a day to pass and not hear about the housing crisis we're in as a country. Many of us feel it as we strive to attain housing, and we see it on our streets and in our neighborhoods as we drive through town. The numbers are there. 4 million homes short of what we need as a nation. We hear this and ask the question, who is doing something about it? Well, it's time to meet the cast of characters who are not just theorizing, but actually doing something. In this series, we get a chance to sit down with those innovators who are building actual solutions to help solve this crisis. So, pull up a chair to the literal front yard of our nation for a discussion around what has gotten us to this place and how we can move forward. Cheers, and we'll see you down the road. We began by meeting up with our good friend Ben Kaiser. Ben is a thought leader in the space around innovative housing with his own project, Path House, and has been thinking about ways to sustainably build for a long time.
Being here, there is just this sense of gravity. There's a sense of awe, of reverence. You're in between the Lincoln and Washington monuments. There is this showcase on the literal front yard of the Capitol around housing and saying there's a need for innovative housing. Why do we need to have this summit? What's brought us to this place in your mind to say, hey, we've got to value housing here?
As our country faces this massive destabilizing crisis of a severe lack of housing, we've got to start throwing completely new ideas at the equation. I think our whole country is realizing that when people don't have stable housing, kind of to our earlier discussion, it undermines the entire government. When people don't have a safe place to live, a lockable front door, when they're living under bridges or on their parents' basement floor, it starts to undermine really what it is to be an American, what it is to trust the government, what it is to get up and work kind of a fruitful, wholesome life each day when you're struggling to even find a place to put your head. We're really at this place in the country where it's completely broken, and we've got to throw away most of what we know about creating housing and come up with a new way to do it. And whether that's through the innovations that are on this mall or something we haven't discovered, I think that's what she's after, that's what we're all after, and that's what really the country needs to hold itself together.
We just said, how do we get housing out quickly? How do we kind of avoid that tang, that whole process of developing a 400 square foot thing in your backyard? And so the sustainability, the solar panels and the lithium batteries allow us, we don't need to connect to the electrical grid, right? So good. Bypass that. The incinerating toilet, I don't need a waste line. Bypass that. And then the water system, once legislation changes in Arizona and other places where we can use potable reuse, which means I can treat my own water and reuse it in a potable way, then that will change the game.
What we are doing is using local ponderosa pine to manufacture what's called cross-laminated timber. So that's what this is here and what you'll see inside. So that is 3 layers of 1-inch thick ponderosa pine that was all made from trees that were cut down for forest fire mitigation. So for forest management, thinning of forests.
We are asking the question of why can't we do this differently and why can't we do this in a better way? So our solution uses modular construction. So our homes are built in a factory, coming to the site 80 to 90% complete, meaning your flooring, your cabinets, your finished electrical, your finished plumbing, it's all within that. We call them modules. So sometimes the most innovative thing you can do is actually dial the crazy ideas back.
We put a lot of effort into design and changing the methods of construction that are currently existing. For the last 100 years, we've been building houses roughly the same way, whereas technology in every other industry has advanced. We are trying to bring construction into a modern era with automotive techniques, robotic assembly line processes, and economies of scale, which have not yet been seen and should definitely increase the availability of housing to the public. I'd rather have my car built in a factory than in my garage. And
Bingo.
that's basically what we're doing with houses. We're building things, not even in a garage, it's exposed to the elements.
Yeah,
So.
absolutely. That's a great way to put it. How long does it take to build something like this when
So
you're 3D printing?
Yeah, good question. So it takes 1 day, under 1 day to print this.
1 day?
Yeah. And then all the finishes we'll see, and we'll take a little tour. Takes another 3-4 days.
Yeah. But in
so-
terms of the actual structure, it's just a day.
Yeah, and it's totally automated. It takes one operator who can operate several of these machines.
Yeah.
And
And then what's the material you're using to print?
So the material is primarily recycled plastic. 60%.
Recycled plastic.
Yeah. And then we add the fiberglass, carbon fiber, and then things like UV stabilizer, fire protection material.
You know, I keep telling people it's like, doesn't matter if you need, if you're a homeowner looking for a dream home, a developer who wants to build a community, or a supportive agency that's looking to provide supportive housing. We have products that fit all those needs.
And that really seems to be like a missing link in a lot of these conversations is like, can it be a repeatable process for these different types of applications?
When you're talking about true sustainability, I always look at it from the standpoint of environmental, social, and economic. Those are the 3 pillars of sustainability. And done right, I think that we can appropriately manage our forests, right?
Yeah.
Utilizing the innovations in wood technology, specifically CLT, cross-laminated timber, and find a way to commoditize housing and in turn drive down the cost of that housing.
Yeah.
So in a lot of ways, I just see it as the next step and chapter in evolution of the built environment as it pertains to housing. And it's a part, right? It's not the whole, it's a part of the solution.
So we've been here for a couple days. I think one of the things that's been interesting is you have a variety of different exhibitors, kind of on a sliding scale of innovation. Some stuff that is similar to what is happening, around the US. You have completely off-grid units on that scale. You're taking a pretty big swing. Maybe just elaborate.
So one thing for all our fellow exhibitors, the demand is so large that everybody needs to succeed.
Yeah.
And everybody's doing their level best to kind of come up with ways to extract cost from building homes in this country. And that's why these innovators are all here for this past week. And I think that's the way to recover.
I love it.
Yeah.